Good evening, SailFuture donors, volunteers, graduates, and friends. My name is Gavin Bayer, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. If I come off as a bit nervous, it's because I am. I'll start by letting you know this is the first speech I've ever given. I was born in Pittsburgh in 1998. My mother was on crack during her pregnancy with me, and the labor and delivery were no different. From the first seconds I entered this world, I was part of a story filled with addiction, abuse, neglect, crime, and mistrust. I've been kicked through walls, I've had dangerous items thrown at me, and I've been locked in a room for days at a time. One of my earliest memories is the time when a man was shot and killed while giving my brothers and me money. He was the biggest drug dealer in the neighborhood who sold my mom every kind of drug possible. Meth, crack, and heroin. But I remember him as a man who always carried rubber bands filled with cash. He was very generous to my brothers and I, and often gave us money. But one day, when we were walking towards each other, I heard a series of gunshots. But that was normal in my neighborhood. What wasn't normal was seeing him fall to the ground and die in front of us. And honestly, the next thing I remember was seeing a puddle of blood. While the body was removed from the scenes, I'll never forget going back there a few days later and seeing the blood stain that no one even bothered to clean up. And then there was a time when I wore 2 left shoes for a whole year. At the time, I couldn't afford anything else, and no one told me about the Salvation Army or Goodwill. So I went to the nearest broke-down shoe store, and the guy working there felt so bad for me, he gave them to me. The funny thing is, they were girl shoes, but we take what we can get. While these things provide enough trauma for multiple lifetimes, all of them happened to me before I was 7 years old. These events don't define who I'm becoming, and I'm not looking for anyone's sympathy. In fact, when I'm finished, I hope you set my past to the side and remember me as smart, experienced, and perseverant. I tell you these things because it's important for you to know the types of peoples and backgrounds of those who you are helping. My story is not that unique compared to others who get SailFuture's help. For many of us, we come from broken families and are left to fend for ourselves at a young age. We're the ones who camp on the side of the road when we have nowhere else to sleep. And we're the ones who break into cars to grab change for our next meal. When we're sent to juvenile prisons, often it gets worse. There's more abuse, more anger, and more bad influences. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with tonight, it's this. A 10 by 10 concrete cell is not the solution for rehabilitating young men like myself. I spent most of my teen years going in and out of facilities on the east coast of Florida. Over a 3-year period, I was placed in 4 different facilities by court order. 1 substance abuse center, 1 behavioral health center, and 2 juvenile detention facilities. Much of my experience was spent learning how to be more independent and trusting no one. Like much of my peers, I was childish and didn't want to talk to anybody about my past, present, or future. When speaking with counselors, I used one-word responses and refused to believe anyone who told me they were there to help. I was constantly skeptical about the future. When I was in the substance abuse treatment center, I ran away 7 times before eventually being kicked out. I was 16 and addicted to the exhilaration and freedom of running from authority. But at the time, I wasn't receiving the help I needed. While I'm not sure what kind of help would have worked, I'm certain that sending me to a juvenile detention center was not the answer. But that's what happened, and I was kept there for 109 days before I was sent to a behavioral health center for an additional 11 months. And here's the truth. The more time I spent in jail, the more I kept thinking, maybe this is where I belong. Fast forward to last summer when I got in trouble again, and a judge told me that I could avoid jail if I participated in a new program. And that was the first time I heard of SailFuture. To be honest, when I heard about a bunch of kids like me living on a boat for a few months, I told my brothers I was going to run away and would be back in a couple of weeks. For me, SailFuture wasn't going to be any different from any other program I've tried in the past. Since I'm here tonight, you can imagine just how wrong I was. SailFuture is definitely not like any other program out there. Let's start with the boat, the 5 yachts. When you're on the boat, you immediately become part of the community. When someone doesn't wake up for a shift, the whole crew suffers. When someone wants to be lazy, the whole crew suffers. The first thing I learned with SailFuture was to take accountability for my actions. Immediately, I became part of something that was bigger than myself. Even though I had no experience sailing prior to this, it was really cool knowing that my small contributions were making a big impact. We were sailing to Africa from the Canary Islands, and I was given the responsibility to wash everyone's SailFuture shirt. We were 100 miles ashore, and I was on the bow of the boat with waves crashing into me, scrubbing one shirt after the other, one in a soap bucket, then the water bucket. And the last thing I wanted to do. But when we docked the boat, everyone noticed that we were a team and complimented us on our uniforms. That moment felt really good to me. As you can imagine, I had a big issue with trust. Throughout my life, those closest to me were the ones who betrayed me. The last time I left DCF, I went to my best friend's house. After spending 2 months there and being taken in as part of their family, I was wrongly accused of stealing and was kicked out on the street. Months later, he wrote a statement to the police that eventually led to sending me back to jail. I was used to going into new programs and being tagged as a lifetime criminal, but again, SailFuture was different. From the very beginning, I was given a clean slate. Other programs wouldn't even let me get in the car with their staff, but here SailFuture was giving me control of a 65-foot yacht halfway across the world. And they said I was crazy. Aside from my 2 brothers, that moment was the most anyone have ever trusted me with anything. SailFuture trusted me, and for the first time in more than 10 years, I trusted others. A few weeks ago, I was trying to decide what my favorite SailFuture experience has been this past year. Without a doubt, it was visiting Morocco. Seeing people live in man-made huts really puts into perspective how well you have it. Even if you do have to spend a whole year wearing 2 girls' left-footed shoes. But honestly, when I witnessed all of this hunger and poverty, I came back to America thinking I'm 110% blessed. Despite the lack of wealth in Morocco, these were the happiest people I've been around. For someone who grew up on the streets being told that those with the most money have the most power, this was the first time in my life I realized money does not buy happiness. Visiting juvenile rehab centers in Morocco was an experience I will never forget. It was an experience that would have never happened by staring at a cement wall in a 10 by 10 cell. It's an experience that would have never happened if it weren't for SailFuture. Next, I want to talk about family. As SailFuture gets ready for its next chapter and a new group of kids will be introduced to the program, I was recently asked, what would I tell them if I had a chance? This is what I would say. Get ready. Get ready to open up, get ready for a real chance in life, and get ready for a second family. For me, I didn't know this kind of love was possible. While Michael and the SailFuture crew have accepted me into their group, the SailFuture family goes far beyond any of them. The SailFuture family are the donors and volunteers. The SailFuture family are those that helped sail the Mediterranean last summer and brought the 5 odds into my life. The SailFuture family are those that went on social media liked our photos, provided words of encouragement, and shared our story with their friends. The SailFuture family are those of you that are here tonight. You are the SailFuture family that I am excited to tell the new kids coming in August and those after them to get ready for. When you enter your teen years and you've been kicked around like many of us, a family like this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I want to thank you all for being part of my SailFuture family. All right, now this part, I'm gonna wing it, so this is coming from the heart. All right. A great example of the SailFuture family is Sam Davidson. Sam, me and Sam probably spent 5 days out of this last week going over this speech, making sure it was good. You know, some long hours. But it worked out, and he's came to the house. He's really helped me out in ways that I really can't explain right now because I'm a little bit nervous, but I just wanted to let you know, thank you for all you do. And thank you for helping me with this, because I probably would have never gotten done. To finish, I want to share with you where I am in life. After all, aren't you curious where a SailFuture graduate goes next? Within 2 days of moving to Sarasota, I received my first real job working at Jimmy John's. And while it's been over 3 years since I attended a traditional school setting, next month I'll begin my freshman year at St. Petersburg College, where I plan to study early childhood technology. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to use my experiences to help those in need. Long-term goals, I've been told these will change over the next 4 years. Probably will. But right now, I have a vision of following Mike's footsteps and starting a nonprofit after graduation where I will help homeless youth. Finally, I want to thank my friend and mentor, Michael Long. You are the model entrepreneur and someone I look up to. Your hard work, dedication, and ability to bring a crazy idea to life are characteristics that I admire. SailFuture couldn't be moving forward more progressively than it is right now. And your dream to change the system is the reason I'm not in jail. I watched up close when you're writing emails at 4 a.m. to donors and public defenders. And I watched from a distance when you spent weeks at sea getting this boat back here so others can benefit from it. From the bottom of everything that I am, thank you.